Hello and welcome to tonight's Nexus report. We're going to cover the LEC CBLOL as well as my cumulative power rankings. I have now combined the minor and major regions together, something I used to do a couple of years ago. I had separated them, however, with the LEC's resurgence, I thought, well, there's some people asking for it. Now, this is a re-recording, which means what? Well, if you're new here, none of the content is re-recorded, unless I say otherwise. All we do is edit the beginning and end, so when I start bullshitting and then I am done spewing my shit, I can upload it to YouTube. So, this video is going to go by a lot quicker than your average. I'm going to kind of speed run it because I've already kind of went over this and know what I want to say. So, Giant X Fnatic. Giant X win 2-1. 27th versus 34th. Giant X June had a 2v2 kill, 1-5, 35, 84 KP. Jackie's 27% of the team's damage. Vladi, 4-6, 20. Best KDA with only 4 kills. That's a thing. Upset, 27% of the team's damage. Razork, 76 kill participation. Drake's 9-2-5 for Giant X. However, they did not take a Baron. They won both of their games without a Baron power play, which is interesting, to say the least. Fnatic had about a 7,000 gold power play to win their game. So, taking advantage of their opportunities in a big way. Lot hit a solo kill of his own. Giant X really dominated the top side of the rift. Lot with an 805 gold lead. Jackie's 280, but the bot lane duo of Upset and Laspa did not do poorly. On average with a 727 gold lead. So, Giant X with a slight gold lead at 15 minutes. This was a close game. Series was 60-40 split. Giant X's favor. So that is what it is. Vitality and KC, this was definitely one of those series that reminds you we're in the regular season of domestic play. Because at first stand, I only had one series where the winning team did not have control of the majority of the game, and it was a favorite beating an underdog. Lion had, against JDG, a 45-55 split. Well, 55-45 split. So Lion technically were ahead for the majority of the minutes played in terms of gold plus Drake value. Now, that was the only series at first stand where that happened. But when you get to domestic play, where you have a bunch of teams that did not go to an international event because they're not as clean, they can't finish games, they fuck things up on occasion, they stumble and bumble, it's going to happen more. So Vitality in particular did do this. They had a 59-41 advantage in this series, but when you have a game that goes 55 minutes long, that's going to fuck that number up, and it goes to say, you had many opportunities to win this series and didn't. Which is a surprise because some people say KC should have won this, and I had predicted KC to win it. So I went 1-4 in predictions today, I think. No, KC won. Dummy. 2-3. So you would think Vitality would have had a tough time beating KC, but KC tried to give it to Vitality. I mean, so Drake's went 9-8 for KC. They did take 4 of 6 Barons, which is significant here. Vitality, despite being ahead in gold value and Drake value, did struggle securing Baron. They averaged a 3,700 gold lead with the Baron in the case of Vitality. KC 3,200. Kalez 2 solo 2v2 kills. Busio had 1 as well. Karzi had 3. So the 2v2 matchup, very competitive throughout the entirety. 6 total. Kalez 10-7-25, 30% of the team's damage. Busio 85 KP. Nako, what a great series into Kana. Definitely not the reason the team lost. He had 3 solo kills, 12-8-19. Team leading 69 KP. Karzi, 31 damage share. Kana and Lynch's both had solo kills. Vitality dominated the early game of this series. On average, a significant gold lead. We saw Nako almost 1,000 on average. Rylich was not that jungler. He's Navi's. Lynch's 500 gold lead. Mid lane, we will say, Yahoo did keep up with Humanoid, but Humanoid did have a slight lead. And then Karzi, Fleshy, 500 gold lead on average. So we're looking at about 2,000 gold lead at 15 minutes on average, which is significant. You can do something with that. Unfortunately, they didn't. Navi Koi, 14 versus 18. By the way, this was 20 versus 9. So Navi went 2-1. I had Koi winning this series. Navi took 8 of 15 Drakes. The Barons were split 3-3. Koi had a slight advantage, 51-49 in this series. Truly a toss-up matchup. Game 3 was a good one. Maintner, solo kill on Gnar in Game 3, 7-6 and 20. Solid. He's doing better than I thought he would. I'm going to be honest. Some games he really pops off and shows a lot of value. 5,000 gold lead on average with their power plays. Samdi had 2 solo 2v2 kills, 25% of the team's damage. Supa as well had 3, going 16, 8, and 8 with 25 damage share. Reason why I just kind of skipped around is because these two teams had a wide spread of damage share across the entirety. 25% for both AD carries. That means we're seeing a lot of other players take part in the damage department. Rylich had a 2v solo kill, 70% kill participation. Jojo, 5 solo kills, 3 in one game, 2 in another. Poby had 2 as well. In game 1, I believe it was, where Jojo had 3 and Poby had 2. Jojo, 68 kill participation. Koi average of 4,700 gold power play. Elyoya and Alvaro also solo 2v2 kills for Alvaro, solo kill for Elyoya. Early game, really two sides of a coin here. Top side for Navi with a big advantage. Maintner and Rylich getting about 1,100 gold lead combined, but the bot lane and Jojo in particular dominated Poby in gold. 1,300 gold lead on average. Absolutely crushed them. And then Super Alvaro, 700 gold lead. But in the end, despite that gold lead going to the favor of Koi, about 900 to 1,000 gold per game, Navi do find a way to win this 2-1. Red and Loud, I got both of these predictions wrong. You know, what's kind of crazy is I said it in my first recording that I probably fucked this up. And I believe Red won this 2-0. And despite screwing up and having to re-record this shit, I didn't remember that. I think Red 2-0'd Loud. So, Steps, great debut, 14-2-20 into Young J, best KDA on Red. Rebello, 26% of the team's damage. Frosty, 2v2 kill, 83 KP. Something to think about here. I thought Loud were going to win because Loud had continuity. They had the 5 players from they've had all season. Well, not all season, but the last month in Stardom. Red went with Zintz and Steps on the top side instead of FMB and Curse. So there's rookies there, and we'll see how they do. But then you also have the bot lane duo of Rebello and Frosty, them not knowing how they want to approach this, whether they want to go Frosty, Uzent, or what. And then Frosty says, you know what, we're not going 80 carry. I want to go back to support. And in the end, in game 1, he plays Ashe anyways, so there was that. Loud, Envy, 876. Bull, 2v2 kills, 33% of the team's damage. Red Burt, 80 KP. Something significant here, negative 800, negative 749 gold power play for Loud. Struggling and losing a game because of it. Red, 2,300 gold power play on average. Kaze and Shino both having solo kills. 150 gold lead for Shino in the top lane matchup into Uzent. You'd like that to be bigger and the gap be stronger. I mean, Shino had a solo kill on Sion, but you'd like him to dominate that matchup. Steps was the difference maker, 950 gold lead on average. So that is a thing, about 1,000 gold lead at 15 minutes for both games for Red. This was 50 versus 46, by the way. And then we have 33 versus 39, Furia versus Los. First 2 games rather slow. Game 3, quite competitive. In terms of Drakes, Los took 7-7. Oh, by the way, 7-5, 3-1, 72-28. This is the most lopsided matchup of the day. 56-44 for Los in this one. They took half the Drakes. They were split. Barons 2-1 for Furia. But Los win the series. Ackerman 4-5-29, 85 KP. Duda 2v2 kill, 29% of the team's damage. About a 3,000 gold lead per power play. Well, for the power play for Los. Furia 1,700 gold power play. Gigo 7-6-16. Ayu 28 damage share, 74 kill participation. Zest and Drake here with solo kills. Tatu played Gnar in game 1. Similar to how I feel about G2. You can glorify scrim it if you think you're going to make playoffs either way. I feel safe to say I think Furia are going to make playoffs either way. So if you're going to glorify scrim, better now than later. Early game, Los' favor. About a 1,800 gold lead at 15 minutes on average. Everyone dominating. Zest, almost 700 gold lead. Feisty, 400. Even Drake Hero averaging a gold lead into Tatu. And for Tatu, that's in Game 3, he's got to show up and be the difference maker. On paper, Los is the better team mechanically and individual based. I mean, obviously Tatu's better than Drake Hero, but I think the other 4 roles favor Los, if I recall statistically. So it's just about Los figuring it out in the mid to late game and macro-wise to actually make playoffs and do something with it. So that is a thing. I picked Furia to win, but Los winning is not a super big surprise to me. But now on to the power rankings. Okay, so if you've been following the channel, we've been doing power rankings. So those are based 100% on stats. And despite this past week, me trolling and grifting with people on Twitter that for some reason didn't agree with the thought that women deserve equal treatment as men in terms of approaching availability, in terms of giving them opportunities in Tier 1 League of Legends, because I do believe women are just as good at League of Legends as men when given an opportunity. I had some people trolling me. Well, actually, no, they're probably not trolling me. They're just people that have problems with women, I guess, or whatever, and then I go and I just start trolling them. So there is that. Obviously, I know what stats are and what analytics and data, and I know that shit. So for me to fuck with those people, just take that for what it is, and if you watched it, just sit back and enjoy the show, I guess. But based on stats in a hierarchy of these regions. So LCK, LPL, this is based on MSI 25, Worlds 25, First Stand 26. The last 3 international events, and after MSI, it will be updated, and MSI 25 will be gone. MSI 26 will be thrown in to this mess, and we'll figure things out and how these teams' hierarchy will be ranked. Because this is based on stats, first we look at the tier. The tier is indicative of whether you went to First Stand, made playoffs, played regular season. Played a nerfed regular season. LPL, you played a nerfed regular season. So, that played a role. Then we have the win rate of games, kill-death ratio. We look at gold spent percentage difference. Different gold spent difference differential percentage. That's what it is. Great stat by Oracle's Elixir. Unfortunately, we can't use early game rating and mid-game ranking anymore because we don't get that for LPL, so we can't use that. But we will use Drake percentage, Baron taken percentage, CS difference in lane, and CS difference in the jungle, to form what is the first stage of the power rankings 1 through 58, and then I combine it with this. So those results are altered and moved based on how that region does internationally, to compare them all to each other, based on those 3 events, because that's when all these regions combine and play against each other, not when 2 regions play pitter-patter and patty cake and rift rivals. That's not real to me when it comes to comparing it to an international event that actually matters. So, with that in mind, LCK and LPL are obviously the most dominant. We have best of 1, 3, 5. 5 and 4, 5 and 0, 12 and 3. This is individual game score. So, LCK and LPL very dominant. 22 and 7, 19 and 11. Individual game score 53-23, 52-38. But here we have the LEC, LCS, LCP, CBLOL. Not a shock that they have a losing record, right? Now, this is the order. And actually, I believe in this order. Stats popped this out, and it matched my thoughts that Europe are better than the LCS, which right now are better than the LCP, which is way better than CBLOL. Down here, in black, we take how many of these games that are they playing against these guys. Out of the games, so obviously, over aggregate, we expect these guys to lose to these guys. At least that's how I look at it. So, that's going to factor how we get this. So, when the LCS plays 60% of their series, of the 15 series, 60%, so 9 of them, were against LCK and LPL teams. Good fucking luck. Right? CBLOL, on the other hand, out of 8 series, 2 out of 8 are against LCK and LPL. That's because they're not going deep enough in tournaments. They only have one team, and that one team's flaming out. And that's the reality. And that's why CBLOL ends up so lowly ranked. Furia are better than 34th probably. They dropped one because of their loss today. But you are only, I mean, what ifs are not worth a damn. So to say, hey, Furia are better than Loud, it's only, we just said Loud. Loud won, but Furia are better than Loud. Yeah, and if I was 7 foot tall, I could play in the NBA, but I'm not because I'm not 7 foot tall. So it doesn't make a difference. You got to show up internationally when shit matters to figure out how these regions match up. Now, you see these three, not a big difference. And honestly, in game score, it's not that big of a difference between these four. It's just that CBLOL has played a weaker schedule because they don't play LCK and LPL all that much. And honestly, if you watched last week after First Stand was done, I did a little insight into how this works also for people, if you missed that. This is just going one layer deeper. It was interesting, though, to see this. Yeah, there were some changes in the power rankings. I'm going to try and do this every day, keep it up on the board. If I have space to get all the games in on both boards and keep that there, that's great. If not, I'll have to erase it and not include it. But TL and IG swap places because how they rank versus everybody else and the teams that played caused things to change in the stats. Fnatic moved up 4 spots despite losing because they weren't terrible. Bro, move up a spot. We saw Ultra Prime and Red move up as well. So, yeah, so that's for the video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.